Regardless of whether you figure out how to eat a square 3 dinners every day, there comes a point at say 3 p.m. where your stomach will get a little rumbly, and you're at risk for turning out to be hangry. What comes to make all the difference? Eat bait. In any case, what occurs if the goodie you go after ends up being prohibited natural product? Coming up next is a rundown of yummy bites, both flavorful and sweet, that have been casually restricted in different areas. To discover why, read on. 10. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Cheetos have been a lunchbox nourishment for some children since they were presented over 50 years back. However, it wasn't until the 1990s that the Flamin' Hot assortment would elegance cafeterias regardless. Despite the fact that certainly delectable, the mainstream fiery bite was restricted in a few school areas in New Mexico, California, and Illinois in view of its absence of dietary benefit, and purportedly, as a result of an unintended result that may have froze guardians. In light of a high measure of red color in Flamin' Hot Cheetos, they turn the stools of the individuals to eat enormous sums an upsetting red or orange tone, making superfluous outings there from went nuts parental figures hoodwinked into accepting there is a certifiable health-related crisis. 9. Kinder Eggs. Ferraro, an Italian brand, is the producer of an infamous bite authoritatively called Kinder Surprise, yet more regularly alluded to as Kinder Eggs. The first Kinder Eggs were made out of a milk chocolate and cream shell, within which is a plastic compartment. Within the holder is a little toe, one that frequently comes in a few pieces requiring gathering. Kids love the interesting blend of sweets and toe, while grown-up gatherers may contain the chocolate and keep the toe. However, the Food, Drug and Cosmetics Administration, FDA, in the United States was determinedly neutral. Despite the fact that Kinder Eggs were allowed for import into Mexico and Canada, they were prohibited in the US. Why? Since it is illicit for candy to contain a non-nutritive article for this situation, ito. The standards further specify that the offer of any treats that has inserted in it a toy or knick-knack is illegal because of worries over the gagging risk. In any case, in mid-20, eat chocolate milk. In late 2019, Tempe Elementary School District in Arizona prohibited an apparently guiltless nibble from their lounges, chocolate milk. In doing as such, they joined Washington, D.C., Rochester, New York, Minnesota, and San Francisco, who had just tabooed the treat. For Tempe's situation, the boycott was essential for a bigger activity to eliminate the measure of added sugars and high fructose corn syrup devoured by the understudies. In spite of the fact that the Arizona chocolate milk kibosh was not met with any generous grumbling by guardians or understudies, or so it was accounted for, the circumstance was totally different for the New York City Department of Education, likewise reflecting on a decision against seasoned milk items at that point. A few New York Congress individuals voiced worries that the boycott would hurt dairy ranchers. 7. French fries. In a move that quickly turned into a staple of drive-time gay discussion and late-night punchlines, Swaney, an Ohio Republican who was, at the point, the seat of the advisory group on organization for the House of Representatives, restricted, not a nibble itself, but rather its name. French fries and furthermore toast were not to be sold or devoured in the House cafeteria. However, opportunity fries were a-okay. This was, obviously, for emblematic, political reasons, as France wouldn't uphold a battle in Iraq post-September 11th, and they felt that eating French fries was thusly unpatriotic. As absurd as this sounds, he had point of reference. During World War I, German names weren't off-limits in the United States, including sauerkraut, rechristened Freedom Cabbage, and German measles, Freedom Measles. Obviously, around then, Germany was an American adversary while, in 2003, France stayed an American partner. However, in any case, there were no 6. British Cadbury chocolate. Many Cadbury chocolate devotees are puzzled when they buy the snack in the United States, noting that the flavor is markedly different from the real British Cadbury bars they're familiar with. These folks are not imagining things. Chocolate giant Hershey owns the rights to make and market Cadbury bars in the US, but it uses a different recipe than across the pond. The main deviation is the first ingredient, milk in the UK version, sugar in the American. The English chocolate also has a higher fat content and no preservatives. Hershey's bans the sale of British-made Cadbury chocolate in the United States, and is aggressive about defending their turf, even suing small shops who try to get away with selling the imported stuff. For Hershey isn't a regulatory agency, it is reserved the right to crack down hard on its licensing agreements, which means that, unfortunately for Anglophiles, it has the authority to try and stop the sale of the British product.
5.
Cupcakes.
Has there ever been a more bright nibble than a cupcake, especially a birthday cupcake, shrouded in icing and sprinkles?
Perhaps not, yet it didn't stop North Shore Elementary School in Knox County, Tennessee, from prohibiting them in 2016.
A note was sent home to guardians that made acquiring cupcakes for birthday celebrations or other extraordinary events or occasions significantly untouchable.
Truth be told, Principal Brandon Pratt went about as the food police for anything the children brought from home, demanding that the food meet severe calorie, sodium, sugar, and fat rules.
While shielding his standards notwithstanding well-being concerns, Pratt referred to a damaging episode from his first year in control where an understudy ate a sweet and was sent into anaphylactic stun because of a sensitivity.
The way of life of the school has changed to some degree since the rules went into place, for instance, on Valentine's Day, and the students are urged to trade little things.
4.
Milkshakes.
The majority of the tidbit prohibitions on this rundown are us in birthplace, however this one is a little unique in a bigger number of ways than one. Felice requested a particular McDonald's in Edinburgh, Scotland to stop selling milkshakes for a day.
This was because of their area, as the cheap food joint was close to the site of an occasion to be gone to by Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage. Nonconformists had been known to assault individuals they disagree with by splashing them with the liquefied frozen yogurt drink. It turned into an undeniable development after a 2019 video portraying an individual throwing a McDonald's milkshake at Tommy Robinson, a British political campaigner, who might endure a recurrent episode only a couple days after the fact, became a web sensation.
More focused on milkshake rocket assaults struck dread into law implementation authorities, finishing off with the calf close to the Farage occasion hanging a sign on the entryway that read, "We will."
3. Pop. It was in reality because of the restriction on this bite that another rose to popularity, pop. In the last part of the 1800s into the mid-1900s, blue laws were passed in numerous states. Blue laws are strict in nature and limit whatever may be viewed as pleasurable enough to be wicked. The offer of alcohol on Sundays was a significant one, yet another was a restriction on sucking soft drinks on the Sabbath. For what reason isn't completely clear, however likely had something to do with youngsters congregating at soft drink shops.
These bite counters managed in root lager buoys and frozen yogurt soft drinks, which were produced using a soft drink base with frozen yogurt gliding on top.
Abruptly the retailers required another legitimate treat to sell on Sundays, thus they traded the soft drink for syrup and the ice cream sundae was conceived.
Strangely, the spelling changed eventually from Sunday to parfait, which was conceivably a gesture to the way that by at the po.
Q. Pizza. Pizza is a tidbit that can be a feast, in the event that you're passing by the cut of the pie. Regardless of what you need to call it, for the inhabitants of San Vitaliano, an unassuming community in Italy, it just turned into an issue. In 2015, the minuscule town was being stifled by brown haze at levels all the more regularly found in enormous urban areas. The astonishing guilty party was resolved to be wood-consuming broilers used to fire pizzas.
Organizations in the town were restricted from utilizing the broilers except if they were fitted with an uncommon channel.
Pizza producers in San Vitaliano were naturally furious, asserting that their pies were not to fault for the air contamination.
Mount Vesuvius, a to a great extent lethargic, however not terminated, fountain of liquid magma sits under 20 miles from San Vitaliano, so it's conceivable they had a point.
1. Popcorn. It appears to be insane to consider getting a charge out of a film on the big screen without the steady soundtrack of people chomping on popcorn. However, at a certain point, the bite was prohibited at cinemas.
At the point when films initially opened, they screened quiet movies, which required a more significant level of proficiency and pulled in more complex crowds who frequently dressed and acted as though they were going to a conventional theater.
The film houses themselves mirrored this, with costly goods, including rich covers the proprietors didn't need food ground into, subsequently the prohibition on popcorn. With the innovation of talkies, film-going society changed, thus did the actual theaters.
Proprietors acknowledged they could make a colossal benefit selling popcorn in their halls, thus we will presently everlastingly connect the rich nibble with our sharp one motion pictures.